Welcome to Pennsylvania in Focus. I'm Anthony Hennon. Today we are talking about the future of U.S. Steel. Joining me today is the Center Square's Pennsylvania editor, Kristen Smith. Kristen, we've seen some drama, some emotions flying in recent weeks as Nippon Steel announced that it was trying to acquire U.S. Steel. What's going on here? What's the update?
Japanese-owned Nippon Steel wants to acquire U.S. Steel, which is kind of the iconic steel manufacturer in the United States. It goes back to the turn of the century when some big-name business tycoons that you might have heard of, Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Chase, and Charles Schwab, formed their operations together to create U.S. Steel. So this is a really big, important company in the history and legacy of America, and specifically Pennsylvania. U.S. Steel has its roots in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. So the idea that a Japanese-owned steel company wants to come in and take over U.S. Steel has rubbed some lawmakers and the union itself the wrong way. President Joe Biden himself came out and said that U.S. Steel needs to remain domestically owned and operated. His comments are backed by the United Steelworkers Union. They represent 850,000 people across the country. Again, they have a big presence in Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania. That being said, Nippon Steel has a significant presence in America already. They have 2,000 patents here. They have 4,000 employees. They're based in Pennsylvania, Alabama, Virginia, West Virginia, and some of them are already represented by United Steelworkers. So this is kind of a big political football, if you will. It seems like the optics of this situation are a lot worse than the actual logistics of it.
Yeah, that seems to be the question of this, of how much of this is this a concern about losing jobs, seeing the entire company disappear, or does this seem a bit more symbolic simply because U.S. Steel has been such a huge company influence in the American economy for so long until it wasn't?
Certainly symbolic in nature, I think, is the leading concern here. Of course, underpinning that are jobs. But when we look more broadly at the political discourse in America or the United States over the last 10, 15 years, there's a huge concern about manufacturing jobs moving overseas, right? Donald Trump ran his 2016 campaign on stopping that from happening. And largely he did that again in 2020 and now again in 2024. Biden's Build Back Better had a lot of focus on rebuilding the manufacturing industry in the United States. So the idea that U.S. Steel would would cease to become a United States company, I think is unimaginable from just a historical legacy perspective, as well as a policy perspective for the administration, for Donald Trump, who also says that he will crush this deal if he gets to be president. There's congressional lawmakers that have written to Biden asking him to commit to killing this deal. There's just uproar all across the country from unions, from lawmakers, all about whether or not that this is something that's a good idea. And the consensus seems to be, no, it's not a good idea.
Well, Kristen, thanks for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.
Are you tired of news that puts politics over people? At the nonprofit Franklin News Foundation, we believe in putting people over politics by delivering nonpartisan news and audio content that serves you, the American taxpayer. With Franklin News Foundation, you can read fact-based, state-focused news for free at thecentersquare.com. You can listen to civil, balanced conversations between policy experts through our podcast network at americastalking.com. Or you can get in-depth news on K-12 education spending, curriculum, and school safety at chalkboardnews.com. It's all free through Franklin, where we put you, the American taxpayer, first in every story, episode, and conversation. And it's only possible through our supporters. Together, we can produce content that puts people over politics and brings Americans the news they deserve. Become a supporter today at franklinnews.org/donate. Once again, that's franklinnews.org/donate.